Hi, this is KCCK's Culture Crawl, and I'm Dennis Green. My guests today are from Chorale Midwest, talking about the upcoming holiday concert. First off, a rather familiar voice to
Hello.
KCCK. It's Bob. It's our own Bob Stewart.
Hi.
Who's a member of Chorale Midwest, and Dr. Bradley Barrett, who is the director of the chorale. Bradley, welcome.
Good morning.
Nice
Good morning.
to see you.
Nice to see you.
So tis the season.
Sure is.
Bob, why don't you handle the calendar items first, because the holiday concert for the chorale is in a new location this year.
It is absolutely St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Catholic Church in Hiawatha, which is another fine space that we are looking to do a concert at. It's on Saturday, December 7th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then a Sunday evening show on the 8th starting at 7:30. It's at 1350 Lyndhurst Drive in Hiawatha.
So a Saturday, usually it's the other way around.
Right.
So a Saturday afternoon and a Sunday evening. Mm-hmm. Obviously, when you're using a church space, Brad, the Sunday matinee concert can sometimes be a little bit difficult to make work.
Exactly.
So this is now, of course, it's not at all uncommon for the chorale to perform in churches, but you traditionally have done kind of some of the older, more historic sanctuaries. Do you modify anything that you do with with a more modern venue? Because the St. Elizabeth Ann Seton is, I don't know how old the church is, but it's the more modern design of sanctuary, kind of a more experience, I guess I'll say, as opposed to the traditional altar.
Well, certainly, when you go to plan repertoire, you have to consider several things, but one definitely is the space that you will be and the acoustic that you will be your singers will be performing in. However, the music for this year, probably, if you look at our past programs, this is the most traditional yet. It's oftentimes hard to find great arrangements or additions of the more traditional Christmas repertoire, but we were fortunate this year to come up with and find some very innovative, very challenging pieces that not only would be for the audience, but would also challenge and satisfy the great musicians that we have in Chorale Midwest.
Over time, it seems like a lot of arrangements, particularly for holiday music, get, I don't know, I guess I'll say dumbed down. That they, probably because, like anything else, the arranger, the publishing company wants to sell as many copies as they can. So they want to make them as accessible as they can to all different kinds of choirs that range probably from, elementary and school-aged kids all the way up to professional ensembles like Chorale Midwest. So it must be quite a bit of a challenge to find, like you said, the repertoire that's, I like how you said, satisfying to the chorale, because that's really what your members come for. They want to come and sing the real stuff.
That's exactly right. And selfishly, I consider our singers first and foremost. Exactly. But certainly we also want the audience to come and it's, well, how do I say this? It's our most well-attended concerts of our season. So we definitely want to please those audiences, and oftentimes people will come to me after the concert and say, this is the first time we've heard them. When is the spring concert? Because they just don't know always what they're in for when they hear the choir for the first time, and they're just usually taken back that a choir of this caliber exists in Middle America and Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
It's always a balancing act,
Certainly.
Kind of the artistic versus the appealing. But I'd also argue that a wonderful arrangement sung by a great group of singers is going to be totally satisfying.
Exactly. And so many of our singers, especially like Bob, our charter members, that we're all about the same age. We grew up listening and falling so in love with the Robert Shaw arrangements and the Parker Shaw arrangements. And so there is a hunger for that. And so that's why finding these good arrangements. And luckily, like I said, this year I have a couple close colleagues that have come up with new arrangements that are just really fine. And in fact, tomorrow shall be my dancing day, which is a favor among British choristers. has been arranged by my close colleague Matthew Culleton in the Twin Cities, and chamber singers will be doing it. We'll also be doing some of our standard, our Joy to the World, the Wilberg arrangement, Jay Rouse's arrangement of O Come, Emmanuel. But all of our main choirs will be performing the Chorale Midwest, of course, and then the chamber singers, and then the Pro Musica Women's Ensemble, and then the Bro Musica men's ensemble will be featured as well. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited about the choir this year. We have almost as many men as we have women, and which is unheard of in choirs today. And it at that aspect enables much more innovative programming to take place.
Bob, as you're a charter member of Chorale Midwest, you've been with there from the very beginning. You're in the main chorale and also the select ensemble, the chamber
singers
group. Are you in the Bro Musica too?
I am not.
Okay,
I'm not.
So tell me a little bit as a singer, you know how you approach the big choral works versus the smaller pieces for the chamber ensemble.
Probably not too much. There's not too much difference, although you have obviously fewer voices in the smaller group, so you have to maybe blend a little bit more than you would in a larger group. Listen a little bit closer, because you got a lot more, in the larger group, you got a lot more men, obviously, and blending is not quite as essential as it is with a smaller group, because otherwise there's a problem of sticking out in a smaller group rather than a large group. But blending actually is very important for both, but I think in the smaller group, it's much more important to be able to blend a little bit better than that.
Brad, again, back to the literature, it's got to be, as I was saying earlier, quite a balancing act, because you want to search out new arrangements and, as you said, things that are going to interest and challenge your choir, but there are also those standbys, and you mentioned several of them. How do you decide what makes the cut? How each year? Is it more of we sang this last couple of years, now this is out, or is it about kind of the overall feel of the program?
Well, typically when I go to program for Christmas, I try to follow the Christmas timeline or the Christmas story. So we talk about the light of Advent, and this year's concert we open with "Arise Your Light Has Come," with a new piece, O Oriens, dealing with the light, and then we go into the next pieces will deal with the Annunciation of Mary and Mary being the Blessed Mother, and then from there we go through the day and the night of Christmas, and we follow that, and we always close with Joy to the World, the four-hand piano, big barn burner, piece. But that's typically the framework that I operate, and it works well, because I want people to see when they come to our concerts, whether it's a Christmas concert or any other concert we do through the season, that it's not a hodgepodge, it's not a throw together type programming. We follow a theme, we go through the flow, and that's one of the biggest compliments we've had over the years past, is that our concerts make sense.
You're telling the Christmas story.
Exactly.
It's just like our Christmas pageants when we were in elementary school. It
really
starts with the star and ends in the manger.
It really is. It's really kind of that way.
It's the holiday concert featuring Chorale Midwest coming up December 7th and 8th. Again, Bob, remind us of the times and locations.
Saturday the 7th at 2 p.m., Sunday the 8th at 7:30 p.m., and it's St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Church in Hiawatha. It's 1350 Lyndhurst Drive there in Hiawatha.
Well, gentlemen, thanks so much for being here, and I'm sure it'll be one of the highlights of the holiday season for everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio most weekdays at 10:20, or download the podcast, watch or listen on your own schedule using your favorite podcast app or at kcck.org/culture. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.